Dun da da dun. This week we will build a civilization. It all begins. The simulation begins. It is 5800 BCE. Let's learn a little bit about what you're about to get into this week, which we will be doing for the next few weeks. Really the rest of the year, we're going to be completing a simulation where you're going to be building a civilization and taking all of your knowledge from the year and putting it to work. Okay, let's take a look. So basically, it is the year 5800 BCE, and you and a group of fellow humans, about 50 of you, varying ages, have traveled far to find a new place to live. We could say you're a band of people. Back in the day, you're provided coordinates. You will be provided coordinates that will indicate the location of your new home. You and your fellow humans may travel within a 100-mile radius of your starting point in order to access different resources or locations. So I'm going to give you a coordinate, and it's somewhere on the globe, and you are going to be able to be in a 100-mile radius of that point in order to build your civilization. You only have access to the supplies and tools that you can make for yourself using the resources in that region. So if you want a knife, you need to be able to make it with something from the environment that you're in. Okay, so some of you may be in the desert, some may be in the jungle, some of you may be in the plains and the mountains. So you're going to need to make use of what is just around you. And that includes, food, shelter, clothing, weapons. If you emailed me, I put the partners together. You and possible partners will use online and text-based resources to learn about your area, determine what things you're able to create and use. And then you need to keep in mind that there are aspects of your environment that you'll need to adapt to. For example, if it is very cold, you'll need to be able to keep warm. If the area is occupied by large predators, you'll need to keep your people safe. Okay, so you need to be thinking about what types of animals, what types of plants might be helpful, might be threats. You also want to think about if it's really hot, how are you going to make sure you don't get dehydrated? How do you make sure you're not going to get sunburnt and stuff like that? Very cold, how are you going to stay warm, right? So the first week's goal is two parts. The first part is basic survival. So you've been traveling with this group. You're finding a place where you're settling. That's going to be this location that I'm going to give you. And in order to stay alive, you and your group need to meet the requirements for basic survival. You'll need to identify sources of food and fresh water, determine how to build adequate shelters, and make appropriate clothing for your environment. And find a way to craft at least basic tools and weapons in order to accomplish those things. So you can't just chop down a tree with your hand, okay? This isn't Minecraft, bruh. But you can make something that might allow you to, cut down some wood to build a fire, or to build some basic shelters. Then, how will you then take your knowledge and upgrade? So once you've determined your basic resources for survival, you need to start to determine whether or not you can improve your strategy into a thriving existence. What does that mean? How will you then begin to take the technologies and the resources around you that you develop and construct permanent shelters, domesticate animals and plants, provide for longer-term water storage, perhaps irrigation for agriculture, more complex tools and weapons to accomplish those tasks, perhaps areas for building community and developing your society, metalwork, ceramics, other ways that you'll be able to improve your life. Here are the assignments. So go back to the slides and take a look. You need to make sure you understand on the left column here we have your group number and then your coordinates. So when I say group, you're not in a group with these people. You're just going to do it individually unless you have told me. If you've told me that you're in a group, like for instance, Libby and Julia they told me. So they're going to work on their assignment together to develop, to understand what types of shelter, how they're going to meet basic survival, and then how they're going to upgrade and improve their society. So they'll be working in a team, or Levi and Lath, okay? So everybody else right now is an individual. I can't really make too many changes at this point because I don't want to spend the whole week just navigating that. So really at this point you should have told me. I did say that last week. So anyways. Method 1. So now that you know your coordinates, copy your coordinates from the last slide and start familiarizing yourself with your location. You're going to paste them into your browser. A Google Maps result should be at the top of your results. Click it. This should launch Google Maps with a pin dropped at your coordinates. Zoom out and start to explore your area. Another method 2 would be to go to Google Maps, copy and paste your coordinates in the search bar, press enter, and then you should be able to explore it. So either way, you should be able to explore your area through Google. Then, the next step, begin learning about your new home. You want to start to answer some questions. What is the landscape like? Is it big? Is it flat plains? Is it rocky, mountainous, thick jungle, forest, like some of the things I said earlier? What is the weather like? You want to know the climate, what types of things you're going to need to expect. You do want to be building something that's more permanent. So if it's hot in the summer, is it going to be really cold in the winter? Is it pretty hot all year round? What do you need to prepare yourself for? How and where can you access water? What kind of plants and animals live there? What kinds of natural resources are present? There may not be much wood. Okay, so if there isn't, what are you going to use? Is there rock? Is there clay? Is the soil rich? Would it be good for agriculture? Are there things you can make fire in? So you need to start to investigate that. So you're going to research. You're going to begin using the graphic organizer I'll show you on the next slide to record your findings about your new home and start determining how you will survive. You may print the Survive and Thrive organizer, graphic organizer I give you, and take notes by hand or save a copy of it and you could type your notes into it. It looks like this. So basically the way it's set up is the left column is the thing that you're getting, the thing you need to develop. So for instance, food, right? You're going to need to get food. So you're going to fill in these two. This one here on this middle one is just for those first basic survival. Okay, so what types of things will help you survive just through the first nights, the first weeks in your camp? But as you settle, as your camp becomes more of a permanent place, what types of things will you use from the resources? What types of ways will you develop your technologies to make this a more livable and thriving situation? So that's what these two columns are about. And how will you attain those things based on the resources you have? And it's broken into food, water, heat source, okay, shelter, clothing, tools, and weapons. So you'll need tools for activities like gathering, cutting animals, cooking, and shelter making. So these are just some ideas. I even put some things in the parentheses here for you to think about. And you will need weapons for activities like hunting, fishing, and protection. We don't know if there's other bands of people around, and also from predators. Okay, so we want to go from a vulnerable place to a fortified situation. Here are some sources to kind of take a look at. Just to get you started. This is by no means comprehensive, but just to start thinking about and looking up at your region and what types of flora and fauna, what types of things would be there, what the soil's like, and what resources are available. If you get done with the graphic organizer and you're looking for an extension activity, you can create, which is, I really hope some of you will take this on, create a basic map of your area showing the prominent landmarks, bodies of water, vegetation. So basically, this is from your mind. I mean, you're using your sources to understand what that region would have. Like, you don't have jungle if you live in a desert, but If you want to, instead, you can create what that desert area looks like and what types of things are around. Where is the freshwater source? So you're just drawing a map that shows your camp, or your actually, we want it to be thriving, right? So the thriving civilization. What types of buildings have you made? What does it look like, and how are people living, and how is it designed in order to meet the needs of your band, right? And then remember, if you're going to make a map, to focus on those skills we've been practicing this year, from the title, the boundaries, labels, compass rose, key, and all of that. And that is a wrap. So really, the main focus is on getting this graphic organizer done. And if you have extra time, create a little map showing your site for us. All right. Have a great week. I'm looking forward to hearing some of your discoveries when you build this society. All right.